This time I want to talk about the future of retailing. There are some experiments going on right now where Amazon and Alibaba are making new kinds of stores, and we know that many traditional stores are struggling and they're very concerned about the new online stores. So where is it going? Will everything go online? Or will there be a rebound by traditional stores? I think the answer is that there's going to be somewhat of a rebound. But more importantly, I think there's a convergence going on where the distinction between the virtual stores and the analog physical stores is going to diminish. And there'll be many, many cases where the two of these realms intersect. So let me talk about that. Right now, and very soon, almost half of retailing is projected to go online. And so, but I don't think that's going to be 100%. And I don't know where that in between 50 and 100 will be, but there's certainly going to be a large number of transactions that takes place online in the virtual space. And what we know from shopping and buying things is that transactions are at the heart of every sale. It's not the entire thing. And more importantly, when people buy things for very deep, emotional, complicated reasons. And the simple transaction at the end of purchasing something is just one tiny part of that. So Amazon and Alibaba have really specialized in reducing the friction and making it as easy as possible for that transaction to happen. And for many kinds of purchases or exchanges where all we care about are the transaction, yes, I think there's no reason why they should not be digitized, should not be virtual. And so in that sense, that aspect of the buying and shopping transaction will go to the virtual place. Whether it's Amazon or Alibaba or something else or something in the mirror world, it's going to be something that will necessarily have to be done with as less friction as possible. But there are so many other aspects to our relationship with the physical world and the things that we desire that reducing everything to just the transactions will miss a lot of the opportunities and the future of retailing. So we know from travel and going to other places that often we like to visit a market and see what's going on there. And we're not really there to buy, we're there for other reasons. Maybe we might buy. In some cases, that environment will conduce and suggest and kind of beckon us to buy something. But we're partly there for the experience of the smells, the visuals, the encounter, the space, so many other things. And we have very complicated, deep relationships with physical things. People can have certain objects, cars, or a toy that they have a very strong emotional reaction to, or even food, which is more than just nutrients. It's actually, there's an actual cultural load. There's a history. There's a lot going on emotionally when we eat things and when we buy those things to eat, and cooking. So there's many other dimensions, and those other dimensions are things that the retailers of the world are going to exploit and use and cultivate. So the aspect of going in and being surrounded by many options and then being able to see them in their way they're related to each other is something that's hard to do on a web page. We may be able to replicate some of that with a mirror world where you have smart glasses and you are in a physical space and you can have a virtual store and you can actually see things on shelves and you maybe pick them up and examine them, and then you can maybe look at their ingredients or see where they're made, sources, see what the safety is. And just by invoking that and seeing that information. So there are ways to combine both the experience that we get going to a physical market with the information that we might want in the virtual world. And so this combination of taking real things and adding virtuality, and taking virtual things and adding the physical presence, is going to be one of the many ways in which retailers will find a niche in the world where transactions like Amazon and Alibaba do become very, very cheap. So if you could imagine the many ways in which you could have two poles of virtual and physical, and there could be hundreds of different ways you could combine them into something new. So we could imagine a store, a huge store, that has only one of everything in the store. So they don't have multiple copies, they just have a single item of this, a single copy of that item, and it's like a showroom where it's all just one version of things, but you get to pick it up, move it around, and try it. The store has nothing in the inventory, but once you decide you want it, you look at it or click on it or touch it, and then by the time you get home, it's delivered to you. Right? So it's like an hour delivery. So you don't actually take it home. The store doesn't have any. You actually look at the store and you say, I want it, and then by the time you're home, it's on your doorstep, delivered from some warehouse somewhere. So this is a physical store where you can actually hold the object in your hand, but it doesn't carry inventory. The inventory is actually being supplied in a virtual way. So that's one example of a convergence of the online world into a physical space. Amazon is experimenting with a kind of a store where you don't have cashiers. You take the object off the shelf and you just walk out the door. It's facial recognition. It can monitor your movements in the store and knows that you've removed that object, and it knows who you are and bills directly to your account. And so that's another way in which you can bring together, marry the virtual and the physical into a new kind of store. And so we could imagine many other ways in which we're going to use this convergence of the physical and the virtual together. So one of the things that we really want to be able to do with shopping and buying is we really want to have personalization. We really want to be able to have things that fit us, that are appropriate to us. So the long-time dream of being able to, again, maybe come into a clothing store and have our body scanned, or maybe we have our own profile that we carry with us, that we know what our body is. We can exchange that, and we could try on things that are close, but maybe the thing that we get at the end a week later is a custom-made suit, a blouse, a skirt, dress that's been fitted to our proportions. The thing that we tried on in the store was something that was close, but it wasn't actually fit. And so we again have the benefits of both seeing the material and feeling it, but having something custom made and delivered in a virtual way. So I think there are going to be many different combinations of that. There's another idea that you could make a store that relies on the fact that people in the future going forward may not buy as many things, that they may actually lend or borrow or have access to things rather than purchasing them. So we could imagine a store or a company, a retailer, that's basically just lending you things. Right? So you subscribe to the Amazon store and they say, anything in this area that you want, we'll send it to your house, you'll use it, and when you're done with it, maybe you have a week or whatever it is, you send it back, and then we clean it and put it on. And that's our business. Our business is just lending you things, renting you things, but things in a broadest sense. And so instead of having different rental places, you just subscribe to this. You have this huge selection of things that camping equipment, cooking, you want a deep fryer to fry a turkey. You may only do that once a year. You're going to borrow it from Amazon. You're going to use it, and then they're going to take it back, and someone else will use it. So you have all the benefits of owning that for a short period of time when you actually need it, and none of the responsibilities of taking care of it, storing it, cleaning it, and all that. So this idea of a store that is a lender rather than a seller, that's another kind of, again, converging these kind of worlds of the virtual and the real. It's a real thing, they're real physical objects, but they're virtual in the sense that you actually don't own them. And I think we could imagine another kind of a store that makes a guarantee that everything they have in the store is authentic. So right now on Amazon and Alibaba, there's a huge challenge. It's so easy to sell things that people can rip off an existing famous brand and make a counterfeit, a fake that's maybe not as good, but it's being hidden and it's being passed off as a real thing. And so you would want a store that could sell everything, but they would guarantee that everything was authentic, that they would that you were getting the real thing each time. And that's sort of what they're specializing in. That's the difference between them and Amazon and Alibaba, is that they would be a curator. They would be curating this huge universe and saying, our specialty is guaranteeing that whatever you buy is authentic. Whatever the source, whether it's some chocolate that's being sourced from Ecuador, we would guarantee what it says, because our process is to research that and to vet it and verify it. So those ideas, these values of having things immediately, having things personalized, having things authenticated, having things in some ways accessible. You can make a store that was specialized in discovery. So what we were trying to do is you can find everything online, but in some senses sometimes it's hard to find stuff. But imagine a physical store that is going to actually help you navigate through the worlds of possibilities. It's going to help you find things that you didn't even know you wanted to find. So it's kind of like a market, but it's a physical, or it's in the physical space. Maybe it does it with virtual reality. It's actually taking you on a journey of discovery. So you enter this store, maybe not even sure what you're looking for, and it's going to, like 20 questions, it's going to take you down a path and going to help you discover something that's really cool and you really love. And that's the promise. You may not know what it is, but they're going to help you discover something that you love. And that's the purpose of that store, is discoverability. So these things, immediacy, personalization, authenticity, accessibility, findability, these are all the aspects that a physical retail store could do in the future. That's not just about the transactions. And that's what I think the future of retailing could be.